Hi, this is Jennifer from Read It Again. Join me while I read the second part of The Turtle from the Lighthouse Family series by Cynthia Rylant, illustrated by Preston McDaniels. Please consider subscribing, and if you enjoyed this book, hit the like button and share this video with all your friends. Chapter 3, The Plan. While Siebold was away fetching Pandora, the children learned why Aurora had traveled so far north. "I wanted to see the northern lights," said Aurora. "The northern lights?" asked Whistler. "Yes," said Aurora. "In fact, I was named for them, Aurora Borealis. Someone told my mother about the lights when she was small, and she dreamed of seeing them one day. But we sea turtles are meant to stay in warm waters, and she was afraid to venture north." Aurora smiled proudly. "Instead, she named her first baby Aurora. And all my life I've promised myself to see the lights for which I was named." "And did you see them?" asked Lila. "Oh, yes," said Aurora. "Yes, I did." "What did they look like?" asked Whistler. Aurora looked at the children, her large, gentle eyes full of tears. "They were more beautiful than any sunrise or sunset that I have ever seen. More beautiful than the moon and the stars. More beautiful than a coral reef." "Really?" asked Lila. Aurora nodded. "The lights fill up the black sky with pinks and blues and greens, and they moved like water. They rippled and flowed like water, but they were lights. I would give anything to see that," said Whistler. "Though it took me 100 years, I found them," said Aurora. "You will surely find them too someday." 100 years?" repeated Lila. "Since the day I was born," answered Aurora. "Goodness," said Lila, "you've seen many things." "Yes," said Aurora, "but nothing so beautiful as the northern lights." "Are you still cold?" asked Whistler. "Maybe you should pull inside your shell for warmth." "Sea turtles cannot tuck inside their shells like land turtles do," said Aurora. "We must face what comes our way." "Well, soon help will come your way," said Lila. "Hello!" called Siebold's voice from the fog. "See?" said Lila to Aurora. "Over here, Siebold!" shouted Whistler. "Carefully, carefully, watch your step," came Siebold's patient voice through the fog. Then there they were, Siebold and Pandora carrying buckets come to help. "Pandora, this is our friend Aurora," said Whistler. Pandora set down her bucket and smiled at the turtle. "I'm so pleased to meet you, Aurora," she said, "and so sorry for your distress." "Thank you," said Aurora, "but I think I am actually happy being here. I am making wonderful friends." Siebold smiled and pointed to his wool cap. "And here is another. We brought along Tiny." Aurora looked up at the small baby mouse wrapped snugly in the roll of Siebold's cap, wearing a tiny sock on her head. "Oh," said Aurora, "a beautiful baby." "We must warm you up," said Pandora. "I have a plan to get you home, but first we must warm you up." She knelt down and removed the lid from her bucket. She lifted out a smooth rock with her mittened paws. "Siebold and I heated these stones in the stove," said Pandora. "They will keep their heat through the morning. Then we will bring some more." Pandora turned to Whistler and Lila. "Children, can you place these all around Aurora's shell to keep her warm?" "Certainly," said Whistler. As the children carefully encircled Aurora's shell with the toasty stones, Pandora pulled from her pockets hot acorn muffins wrapped in warm towels and a jar of canned beets. "I thought you might be hungry," said Pandora. "Oh, yes," said Aurora. "Thank you very much." As everyone shared the muffins and beets and the warmth of the heated stones, Pandora began to speak of her plan. "The pelicans will be passing through any day now," said Pandora. "I checked my logbook. and they are due on their journey south. I know many of the pelicans by name, Pandora continued, for they sometimes rest on the roof of the lighthouse, and I have even mended a few wings, a favor I know they would love to repay. Pandora looked at the children. She looked at Aurora. She smiled. Now this is my plan, she said. They all listened closely to Pandora's plan, and when she had finished, everyone had the same reaction. Brilliant! Chapter 4. The Pelicans. During the next few days, Whistler and Lila made many trips down to the shore to tend to Aurora. Pandora and Siebold needed to take care of both the lighthouse and Tiny, so the two children had the important duty of helping the turtle. They brought her warm food wrapped up in their twine bags, including baked wild potatoes. Astonishing, said Aurora, and stir-fried nettles. Heavenly, she said. The children told her their stories, and she listened to them, and they were all made happy when Siebold arrived with more hot stones. Finally, on the third morning of waiting, a lone pelican flew across the water. The children were having breakfast with Pandora and Siebold in the kitchen when Lila spotted the bird. A pelican! They're coming, she cried. Everyone ran outside. Off in the distance, they could see a dozen of the large birds flying in the direction of the lighthouse. Flutter your aprons, children, flutter your aprons, said Pandora. She had given everybody one of her aprons to wave, to signal the pelicans to land. I hope they don't think I wear this, said Siebold, fluttering the apron in his paw. Nor I, said Whistler. One by one, the pelicans began to land. When they were finished, there were 15 in all. Greetings, Pandora, said one of the birds. He stretched his giant pouch so wide that Lila nervously backed away. Hello, Augustus, said Pandora. So nice to see you again. Did you have a good summer at the pole? Perfect, said the pelican. Oh, good, said Pandora. I need your help. Augustus. First, let me introduce my family. Then I'll explain. Pandora introduced the children and Siebold to Augustus and all the other to all the other pelicans. Pandora, I am glad you have this little family now, said Augustus. I see contentment in you. Thank you, Augustus, said Pandora. Now, how may I help you? Asked the bird. Pandora explained the situation. She told the pelicans how Aurora had become stranded in a fog and was unable to complete her journey south, for the waters were now much too cold. The turtle needed to go home, yet she could not swim. But how does one travel the ocean if not by swimming? Asked Augustus. Pandora looked at him and quietly answered, Why, by flying, of course. And within a very short time, a 100-year-old sea turtle found herself surrounded by 6 strong pelicans. Sailing ropes stretched from their beaks and wrapping around her shell like the handles of a fishnet bag. You mustn't worry, Pandora said softly to Aurora. Pelicans have the longest wings of most birds I know. Their wings are like the sails of the tallest ships, and when the wind catches them, the birds will fly, and so will you. You'll be home tomorrow, said Siebold, by my calculations. Aurora looked bravely at them both, and at Whistler and Lila, who stood by their sides, and at baby Tiny, in the roll of Siebold's cap. I'm not afraid, said Aurora. I have seen the northern lights. Lila pulled something from the pocket of her dress. Whistler and I made this for you, Aurora, to remember us by, said Lila. She lifted the turtle's front flipper and slid a shell bracelet onto it. The largest shell in the middle glowed with pinks and blues and greens. That's an abalone shell I found after a storm, said Whistler. It has the colors of the aurora borealis. Big round tears dropped from the sea turtle's eyes. "Oh dear," said Lila, pulling out her hanky. "I will never forget you," said Aurora, "any of you." "Bon voyage, Aurora," said Siebold. "Godspeed," said Pandora. And with a word from Augustus, the 6 strong pelicans spread their long, long wings, caught the wind, and lifted the turtle into the air. "Goodbye, goodbye," called the Lighthouse family. "Goodbye," called Aurora, and the family watched in silence as the sea turtle disappeared into the blue horizon. Lila's wide eyes were wet. "Oh dear," said Pandora, pulling out a hanky. "Well done," said Siebold, patting Whistler on the shoulder. "Well done." On the way back to the lighthouse, Whistler asked Siebold if they might sail north to see the lights one day. And the dog answered, "Absolutely. Oh, yes, absolutely."